Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. Jayo Radha Govinda Radha Govinda Shri Radhe. Jayo Gauranitai 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 Jayo Gauranitai. Jayo Jayo Prabhupada 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 Jayo Prabhupada Jayo Jayo Gurudev 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 Jayo Jayo Gurudev. हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय, गुरु महाराज जी की जय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरये। नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवतिरुत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी। कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकीनन्दनाय च नन्दगोपकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः। ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च। श्रीरूपं सागरजाता। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम राम राम। We will restart the Mangalacharan prayers, and I would request those who are co-host, please check the background sound, Mataji, Prabhuji.
Muted, Prabhuji, Hare Krishna.
Yeah, so that should be done earlier, Mataji.
So I was actually searching for it, who was making sound. I'll do it, Prabhuji.
One second. Give me 1 minute. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye Nashtapraeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavatir Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nanda Gopa Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagar Jatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Shri Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Shri Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vamcha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Iti Namine Namaste Saraswate Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivas Adi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji's, Mataji's, welcome you to today's discussion on Srimad Bhagavatam. Did everyone have a chance to go through the verses, Prabhuji's, Mataji's?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhuji. Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Thank you.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Prabhuji. So let me make few more devotees co-host. All right. So we'll quickly revise through some of the text to have a continuity in our discussion. So we saw at the end of first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, when Parikshit Maharaj asked these two important questions to Shukadev Goswami. First being, what is the way, the path of perfection for all people in general, especially for a person who is about to die. And second question he asks is, what are the topics which one should hear, chant, remember, and worship, and what are the topics which one should not hear, chant, remember, and worship? So what are the do's and the don'ts? And we see Shukadev Goswami, he glorifies these questions by Maharaj Parikshit by saying, Variya Nesha te prashna kruto loka hitam lupa. That these inquiries itself, my dear king, they are for lokahita. They would greatly uplift people in general if they just discuss about these inquiries and what to speak of hearing the answers to those questions. Atma vitsam matah pumsam shrotavyadishu yah paraha. Why these inquiries are very important? Because the answer to this question is the prime subject matter for hearing, and it is approved by all the transcendentalists. It is not just I am telling you, Shukadev Goswami is telling you, but these have been approved. This subject matter has been approved by all the great personalities earlier on. And then subsequently, he answers the questions about the don'ts first, about what one should not hear, chant, remember, and worship. So specifically, he gives the explanation about Graha Medis, those people who are attached to materialistic way of life, that they don't know what is the ultimate purpose, what is to be pursued in life. So for such people who are blind to Atma Tattva, there can be so many topics worth hearing. They have so many topics for discussion. However, for one who really wants to pursue the important goal of human life, for him, there is only one topic for discussion. And what is that? Shotavya kirtitavyascha smartavyascha ichchita abhayam. That topic which can give total abhayam, total freedom from fear, is Tasmat Bharata Sarvatma Bhagavan Ishvaro Harihi. To hear about the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna, is the only topic for discussion who want to pursue the ultimate goal of human life. And that topic should only be the topic which should be heard about, which should be glorified, and which should be remembered. And that type of discussion, my dear king, it would give freedom from all types of fear. It will give complete abhayam. And then subsequently, Shukadev Goswami continues to explain that how this particular process, my dear king, of hearing, glorifying, remembering about the Supreme Lord is not just for the devotees, the pure devotees of the Lord, but even for people coming from other paths of transcendental realization, namely Sankhya Yoga, Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga, etc. Even they, Janma Labha Parah Pumsam Ante Narayana Smriti, even they would benefit from this process of hearing, chanting, remembering about the Supreme Lord. And then he gives his own example in the subsequent verses to explain that how he himself was a Jnani, absorbed in Brahman earlier on, before he heard about the topics glorifying Lord Krishna by the mercy of his father. And he concludes that particular section of Bhagavatam by saying, this is an important verse, Etannirvidyamananam ichchatam akuto bhayam yoginam rupanirnitam harer nama anukirtanam. Anukirtanam means repeated glorification. Repeated glorification of the Supreme Lord. He consists, so out of all the processes, including Karma Yoga, Sankhya Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga, Jnana Yoga, devotional service is supreme. And within different limbs of devotional service, according to Shukadev Goswami, Hari Nama Anukirtanam, repeated glorification, repeated chanting of the holy names of the Lord is what is most effective amongst the Navavida Bhakti. And then we concluded our discussion last time by saying that if Hari Nama Anukirtanam is that important, then ideally Srimad Bhagavatam should have been concluded then and there, leaving Maharaj Parikshit sufficient time of say 6.5 days to practice this process of Hare Nama Anukirtanam, repeated chanting of the names of the Lord. But the fuel, the impetus to have effective kirtan is what is called as faith or Shraddha, which is underlying. And to increase that faith within any person, including the practicing devotees, is to hear in the association of devotees. To make the faith of Maharaj Parikshit so strong and stout that even one Hare Nama Anukirtanam that is being done by the king in the end would be that effective to take him to the highest perfection, to increase that faith for Maharaj Parikshit, as well as all the audience, as well as all of us who are hearing the conversation. Shukadev Goswami continues to perform the process of Kirtanam, making Maharaj Parikshit and everyone else hear, so that ultimately when Hare Nama Anukirtana happens, it is of that quality. So that's where we concluded our discussion last time. Anyone has any questions, queries, or any comments, Prabhuji's, Mataji's? If
Yes.
not, we proceed. Yes, Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Yes, Prabhuji. This 11th sloka,
Yes,
just
ma'am.
is given on 9th offense and the 10th offense, about that one it is given. And one more thing I want to ask you, why this Srila Goswami instructs chanting to be done loudly? Loudly means, but I heard it is what you are chanting, you should be heard to you only. That is enough, no? But it is given in the 11th sloka, it is given completely, you should be loudly done.
Yeah,
want
so
to say it.
yes, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you for the question. So we have different explanations by different acharyas in this regard. And finally, we will see one example of acharya, Nama Acharya, how Srila Haridas Thakur himself used to chant 192 rounds. What was the division between chanting quietly, softly, chanting very quietly, and chanting loudly? These three types of categories. So first we cover the process of chanting loudly. So Srila Haridas Thakur himself explains that the benefit of loud chanting of Hare Krishna Mahamantra is not only the chanter is benefited, but those living entities who are around him. Specifically, the question was asked to Srila Haridas Thakur that what about those living entities who are not able to chant or who are not able to move, like the trees and the animals and the insects and so on and so forth, microbes. So for their deliverance, Srila Haridas Thakur recommended the loud chanting of the holy names would not only deliver the chanter of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, but also all these living entities surrounding. But if we refer to the writings of Srila Rupa Goswami, who is also the Sambandha Abhideya, who is the Abhideya Acharya for all the Vaishnavas, who is the Acharya for the Navavidha Bhakti, for the process of devotional service. He writes in his writings, specifically Nectar of Devotion, that chanting should be done softly. He uses the specific Sanskrit word. I'm trying to remember. Anybody knows that word? I will anyway mention it when I remember, but in English, it means the chanting should be done softly. So in general, that is done as a meditative process where we should be able to at least hear by ourselves. So coming to Srila Haridas Thakur, I don't recollect the exact division of number of rounds that he used to chant. Anybody remembers this? Prabhuji's, Mataji's? Can unmute and share?
Who Namacharya Haridas Thakur?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, 192
192.
rounds.
No, 192, that is clear.
Yes.
I am asking about the division. How many rounds Srila
Oh,
Haridas?
64 is what I heard, Prabhuji. Yes.
Okay, thank you, my
All three. And maybe I think the Sanskrit name that you were asking, Prabhuji, I think Upanshu Jap maybe, I think, where I think it is done very softly or inside.
I'm looking for some different word. But
Okay, Prabhuji.
Yeah, thank you.
Hare Krishna.
So coming to the example of, just one second.
Attention.
Yeah, Mataji, Prema Priya.
Prabhuji, even I believe Haridas Thakur also in between used to chant in the mind also in between.
Yes. So that will come to. So 3 types of chanting Srila Haridas Thakur himself used to do. 64 rounds of Hare Krishna Mahamantra Srila Haridas Thakur used to chant loudly, and 64 rounds softly. That means it would be audible to himself and probably in near vicinity. And 64 rounds of Hare Krishna Mahamantra Srila Haridas Thakur used to chant within his mind. That means in a quiet way. So of course, for us, if we tried the third method, we would definitely, mind will go astray and we will get distracted, or we can even fall asleep. So Srila Prabhupada has specifically instructed all the devotees to chant at least loud enough so that we ourselves can hear. Having said that, when we are chanting in the temple setup, when other devotees are also chanting, then we have to be mindful that we chant in a way so that everybody is able to hear their own chanting as well, chanting of japa. So in general, the principle that is followed is we should chant loud enough that at least we ourselves can hear. That is for the 16 rounds. But apart from that, whenever we are engaged in kirtanam along with other devotees, we should try to chant loudly as well, so that other living entities can also benefit. And in fact, in our last session, when we were discussing the different ways of remembering Lord Krishna, this was also mentioned by one of you, that loud chanting where other living entities, they can also hear, that is also one of the way to remember Krishna. But obviously our 16 rounds at least we should do properly as a soft chanting. And apart from that, whatever we can chant when we are driving, when we are participating in kirtan at home or outside, we can chant loudly also. Hare Krishna. Yes, Prabhuji.
This is the way of chanting Vaikari, Madhyama, Pashyanti and Para. These are the 4 varieties of methods. Where Vaikari means we have to chant loudly.
Prabhuji, your voice is very weak. You can speak a bit louder. Rajumukh Prabhuji.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, it's better. Yes, Prabhuji.
So there are 4 types of Vaikari, Madhyama, Para and Pashyanti and Para.
All right.
Where Vaikari means we have to chant very loudly. Madhyama means we can hear it by ourselves.
Thank you, Rajumukh Prabhuji. So is this all right? Mangala Mai Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Yes, Prabhuji. What is the name he has given, Prabhuji? Vaikari?
You can type on the chat, Rajumukh Prabhu. You can give.
Krishna, Para Pashyanti Vaikari is in Lalita Sahasranama, it comes.
Okay.
Thank you, Gita Mataji. So we proceed with the next section, which is very, very important within the same chapter. The chapter is entitled The First Step in Self in God Realization. So first we saw the superiority of Bhakti Yoga that has been presented by Shukadev Goswami. In the next verse, Shukadev Goswami basically explains to Maharaj Parikshit how quality of one's consciousness is very, very important than the long life in terms of quantity, in terms of the duration. So specific word that he uses is even a one moment of full consciousness. He says better a moment of full consciousness is better than a long life, many long prolonged life where one is not sure about or one is not pursuing the ultimate goal of life. So we would go through the verse first. Those devotees who want to recite, keep your hands on Prabhuji's, Mataji's. Hare Krishna. All right. Usha Mataji, you can recite text 12.
Yes. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Text 12. Kim pramattasya bahubhi.
Kim pramattasya bahubhi.
Parokshair hayanair iha. Varam muhurutam vidhitam. Ghatate shreyase yataha. Translation. Sorry.
Yes, Mataji, you can go through the translation, then I will highlight.
Yes.
Yeah.
Translation. What is the value of a prolonged life which is wasted, inexperienced by years in this world? Better a moment of full consciousness, because that gives one a start in searching after his supreme interest.
Thank you, Mataji. So
Hare.
specific word that is used by Shukadev Goswami is Varam Muhurtam Viditam. Specific word he uses is a moment, Muhurtam. Muhurtam word is used in two contexts. One literal meaning of Muhurtam is the part of the time, unit of time, which is around 45 to 48 minutes. But other way around, Muhurtam is also used to denote even a moment. So Shukadev Goswami is saying, even a moment of Viditam, of being fully conscious of Supreme Lord Krishna, is much better than Ghatate Shreyase Yataha. Shreyase means for that person who does not know what is the ultimate goal of human life, being in ignorance of that ultimate goal, spending a long duration of life without pursuing that ultimate goal is of not much use. Better to live for one moment, but that life should be life of full consciousness. Usha Mataji, please go through the purport.
All glories to Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srila Shukadev Goswami instructed Maharaj Parikshit about the importance of the chanting of the holy name of the Lord by every progressive gentleman. In order to encourage the king, who had only 7 remaining days of life, Srila Shukadev Goswami asserted that there is no use in living hundreds of years without any knowledge of the problems of life. Better to live for a moment with full consciousness of the supreme interest to be fulfilled. The supreme interest of life is eternal, with full knowledge of bliss. Those who are bewildered by the external features of the material world and are engaged in the animal propensities of the eat, drink, and be merry type of life are simply wasting their lives by the unseen passing away of valuable years. We should know in perfect consciousness that human life is bestowed upon the conditioned soul to achieve spiritual success, and the easiest possible procedure to attain this end is to chant the holy name of the Lord.
Thank you. So we'll just check this particular section first. So in the earlier part of this particular chapter, when Shukadev Goswami has explained about the superiority of Bhakti Yoga compared to all other processes of self-realization, and how even the other practitioners of different yoga paths, they also would need to come to this path of Bhakti Yoga if they have to attain perfection in their life. Then Parikshit Maharaj might think that, my dear sir, you have explained to me what is the right path, but know for certain that I have got a very limited period. And the example is given, just like a student who has got exam the next day, you tell him that this particular library has all the books of knowledge, has all the books which can help you make a master across the subject. But the student won't be very happy. Why? Because in the limited period of time that is remaining, say 1 day or 1 night, it is not possible to read through the entire selection of books in the library. So although the library he has got is very good, what he needs is what particular book or a portion of book he needs to focus his attention on, so that the paper the next day that he is going to appear for is going to be easy, or it's going to be possible for him to answer it effectively. So similarly, Shukadev Goswami, understanding this particular inquiry in the mind of Parikshit Maharaj, that he has got only 7 days to live, he is encouraging Maharaj Parikshit that don't worry, my dear student, my dear Maharaj Parikshit, that you have 7 days, which is much more than a moment, which is much more than a muhurta. Even one muhurta of full consciousness of the Supreme Lord Krishna can take one to perfection in one's life. And we have similar text coming from Shukadev Goswami also in the later part of Canto 2. So we would just see some of those texts. Yes. So this particular verse comes in the 3rd chapter of Canto 2, text number 18. Usha Mataji, you want to recite this text? Tarava?
Yes, Prabhuji. Taravaha kim na jivanti
Taravah
Sarvah kim na jivanti
bhashtra kim na swasanti uta
Vastra kim na shvasantyuta
na khadanti na mehanti
Na
khadanti na mehanti
kim grame pashavo apare.
kim grame pashavo apare.
Thank you, Mataji. So in this text, Shukadev Goswami says, do the trees not live? And specifically, he's talking about trees that live a very, very long period of life. Like I have given the photo on the right hand side of special redwood trees from Botanical Garden in US, which are believed to live for thousands and thousands of years. You would be surprised to know, even now, some of the redwood trees are existing in these botanical gardens, which are thousands of years old. So he says, do the trees not live? Do the bellows of the blacksmith not breathe? That means nowadays you might not get to see this, but in olden times, like when I was a child, I have specifically seen the blacksmith manually making the bellows breathe and for blowing the air on the burning iron so that it burns more vigorously and it becomes red hot to be molded into the required shape and form. So he says that if we are breathing but not really pursuing the ultimate goal of life, we are also no better than these trees whose living such a long duration of life is meaningless. Why? Because they are not pursuing the ultimate goal of life. Similarly, our breathing is no better than this breathing of the bellows of a blacksmith, because it is just pumping of the air within our lungs and exhaling the air. That's it. But that breathing does not carry any value if we don't pursue the ultimate goal. And next he says, all around us do the beast not eat and discharge semen? So here I've shown the photo of the wild beast, which more or less end up being the food to the carnivorous animals within the forest. So if we are not pursuing the ultimate goal of life, he explains in this particular section of Bhagavatam, then our living a long life does not carry any weight. Normally we see people are very fond of living a long duration of life, and they try so many methods, like various yogis. They delay their breathing process because as per Bhagavad Gita, as per the scriptures, the number of breaths that we are going to breathe is fixed. So that means if we are able to delay our breathing process, then the duration is automatically increased. But Shukadev Goswami does not give much importance to all these processes if we are not firstly knowing what is the ultimate goal of life, and even after knowing, if we are not pursuing the ultimate goal of life. So on the right hand side, I have given the examples of so many great personalities, like who stayed on this earthly planet only for a short duration of time, but they had a great lasting impact. Like Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he lived only for about 48 years on this earthly planet. Jesus Christ, who lived only about 33 years on this earthly planet, but he transformed the lives of so many people, many of them who were leading animalistic life in Middle East and so on and so forth. Some of the instructions that Jesus Christ gave, they were literally to bring the humans on the platform of being a human being, to uplift them from the animal state of life. So such a great impact he had only within a short span of around 30 to 33 years. Similarly, Adi Shankaracharya. Now somebody might say that Prabhuji, he is a Mayavadi. Why we are quoting his example? Because if you see his predecessor, Lord Buddha, who in order to protect the people from misusing the Vedic practices in order to gratify their own senses and thus stop their degradation to lower species of life, Lord Buddha had preached atheism. So Adi Shankaracharya was first of the acharyas who brought back, who re-established the authority of Vedas in human life, on top of which rest of the acharyas, including Ramanujacharya, Madhvacharya, and then Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they built subsequent conclusions based on what authority of Vedas was established by Srila Ramanujacharya, Srila Adi Shankaracharya. So it is very, very important contribution from Shankaracharya, although he lived only for 32 years. So this type of life, which is in pursuance of the ultimate goal of life, not only for oneself, but also to uplift others, is, according to Shukadev Goswami, much, much more valuable than a very long life, like the redwood trees that are shown. And some of these redwood trees, can you believe, Prabhujis and Matajis, they would have witnessed on this earthly planet, of course not in person, probably many thousands of miles away, but they have witnessed the appearance of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. They have witnessed the appearance of the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan. They have witnessed the appearance of so many great acharyas like Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, Baladev Vidyabhushan, Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur, so on and so forth. But have they benefited from that presence of such great souls on the earthly planet? The answer is no. They are still standing at one place, just waiting for the life to get over. So this type of life with longer duration, quantity, but no understanding of the ultimate goal of life and no effort to pursue that ultimate goal of life is not much appreciated by Shukadev Goswami. Usha Mataji, you want to read through the purport that is mentioned here?
Yes, Prabhu, thank you. So, do the trees not live? Do the bellows of the blacksmith not breathe? All around us, do the beasts not eat and discharge semen? Srimad Bhagavatam 2.3.18. In order to encourage the king who had only 7 remaining days of life, Srila Shukadev Goswami asserted that there is no use in living hundreds of years without any knowledge of the problems of life. Better to live for a moment with full consciousness of the supreme interest to be fulfilled. One should therefore utilize one's life in glorifying the Lord by all means, without any offense. Such activity of life, even for a moment, is never to be compared to a prolonged life of ignorance, like the lives of the tree and other living entities who may live for thousands of years without prosecuting spiritual advancement. Srimad Bhagavatam 2.1.12, purport by Srila Prabhupada.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
So coming back to this particular purport, so in the subsequent part of the purport, Srila Prabhupada is specifically talking about, apart from our focus on pursuing the ultimate goal of life, if we don't want to go astray from this particular pursuit, Bhagavatam is also asking devotees to be very careful about not indulging either in an active manner or even in the passive manner in belittling, minimizing the importance, blasphemy of other devotees. Even if those devotees may not be in good standard, we should understand that is between Krishna and that devotee, or that is between Krishna, that devotee, and the devotee authority who is supervising or who is responsible for well-being of that devotee. But we should personally not indulge in either direct or even passive. What do we mean by passive? Say, for example, 2 devotees or outside persons, they are indulging in discussions about how a particular ABC devotee is not doing good or he's having some anartha. Even if we are passive witness to that type of discussion, our devotional service is still harmed. Our devotional service is still affected. So specifically, scriptures here, only 2 workarounds are given and both are extreme, so don't indulge in that directly. But third workaround is also provided in Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. So what are these workarounds? if we witness any persons indulging in belittling or blasphemy of devotees. First is, a devotee should try to restrict the vilifier, that means the offender, by cutting out his tongue. And in one of the class, I was hearing my spiritual master jokingly saying that please don't do that, otherwise our movement will be even more controversial than what it already is. So that means how serious it is that we should avoid this particular situation. Second workaround given is being unable to do so. That means if we don't have power to stop the other person, one should commit suicide rather than hear the blaspheming of the devotees of the Lord. So if one is indulging in passive, better to give up one's life. But that is also quite extreme, that we don't know next life what we will get, what type of circumstance, and when we'll pursue Krishna consciousness again. So third one is easier, what is mentioned in Chaitanya Charitamrita, or one should immediately leave that place, plugging one's ears. So at least that much is very much practical, that if we see some devotees gossiping about any anarthas of the third devotee, we should immediately excuse ourselves from that particular discussion. And in this particular regard, also to add on to one point, like sometimes some of the devotees may not be aware about some of the parallel organizations, specifically the Ritviks within ISKCON, that they may follow their separate path. At a personal level, we don't have much to do with that. But what we are definitely not aligned with is the blasphemy or belittling of the devotees. Because Krishna himself says in Bhagavad Gita that even if my devotee has done something bad, it is mainly to do between myself and him. So I will take care of his purification and bringing him back on track. But no one else should think oneself qualified or authorized to unnecessarily belittle the position of other devotees. That is very, very harmful for our life, for our spiritual life. What to speak of spiritual life? Even we have examples of personalities in Chaitanya Charitamrita whose physical bodily situation also got degraded to the extent of getting leprosy and all. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was not at all happy with the behavior of such personalities like Gopal Chapal in case of Srivas Thakur and Gopal Chakravarti in case of Srila Haridas Thakur. So we have to be very, very careful. And then Prabhupada continues, by chanting the Lord's holy names, one can derive all the stipulated energy synchronized from all sources. That means whatever is the energy from different sources present in this material cosmos, material creation, we can have access to all of that if we sincerely chant the holy names of the Lord. And then so this has been read by Usha Mataji. Srila Prabhupada concludes this purport by saying one should utilize one's life in glorifying the Lord by all means without any offense. Such activity of life, even for a moment, is never to be compared to a prolonged life of ignorance, like the lives of tree or other living entities who may live for thousands of years without prosecuting spiritual advancement. So after Shukadev Goswami gives this particular encouragement to Maharaj Parikshit that, my dear king, you have got 7 days, but even one moment of life of full consciousness can take one to perfection. Parikshit Maharaj might think that probably Shukadev Goswami is saying this just to encourage me and probably not let me feel upset that I have got short amount of time. But Shukadev Goswami says, no, whatever I am saying, it holds literal meaning. And to prove that, Shukadev Goswami is giving one example of the great king Khatwanga Maharaj, who was actually able to do that, who was actually able to perfect his life in that short duration of one muhurta. So muhurta word is used in the previous verse, and muhurta is also used in this verse to emphasize there is literal examples of devotees available who have perfected their lives in such a short duration. So we'll recite this verse. Mahesh Prabhu, Hare Krishna. You want to recite, Prabhuji?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Before that, can I ask a
Yeah.
small question, Prabhuji, on
Yes,
the
yes,
previous verse?
yes.
I think just the text above and the 2, 3, 18 on the same page, Prabhuji, without any offense word came. I think it was also on the 2, 3, 18 slide that you were presenting earlier.
Mm-hmm.
So I just wanted to check, Prabhuji, this without any offense, which has been used. And I think in Nectar of Devotion also earlier we have studied many offenses, I think 32 Seva
64.
aparats and Nama aparats and
Mhm.
Vaishnava aparats. So Prabhuji, just wanted to check, maybe because I am not sure day-to-day life we will be able to practically remember all of them, but maybe any one, maybe which we should for sure avoid, while glorifying the Lord, by all means it says, or while chanting or whatever we do, the sevas we do, what any one offense maybe which is like the biggest we should definitely avoid,
Yeah, so very nice question. And this has also been answered by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked devotees mainly to do only two things. Like he has kept it very simple. If one single offense we should avoid, it is what we just discussed, which is minimizing the position or blasphemy of devotees. We should try. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra and don't criticize devotees, which means that even if we do see, first of all, we should not be surprised by seeing any anarthas in the heart of a devotee, because I heard a very nice example from one devotee, Gaur Sundar Prabhu, who was one of my mentor during the college days. He said that, see, this material world is like a hospital, and we are going to the hospital and we are criticizing the patient that, look, he has got this disease, that person has got that deformality or disease. Are Baba, because they have got disease, that's why they are here. No healthy person goes to the hospital just like that. At least glory of the devotees is that they are coming to the hospital to get cured. There are so many endless number of persons outside in the material world who don't even bother about that disease. So good thing about devotees is they want to get themselves cured. So he said we should be happy with that. And second is, we are also in the same hospital. It is not that we are fully cured. So we are also trying to get ourselves cured, taking inspiration from those devotees. So this is one part. Second part, even if the worst of the devotees, of course, we should not consider any devotee worse, but compared to our judgment, they would also help us remind ourselves of Lord Krishna. So which is very good that, consider a theoretical scenario that we are left at a place where there are hardly any people. And let me tell you, Prabhujis and Matajis, I have lived in those type of places on earth. Very few people to be seen outside in the world, on the streets, etc. Only people you would see, it's within their home or in the liquor places, beer bar and all that, because the weather of that particular place is so extreme that nobody wants to socialize outside and etc. So if we are in that place, even an association of any ABC person to talk to spend some time, it seems a great blessing. So imagine, rather than taking association of any materialist, even the worst of the devotees, we would want to associate at that time because they would help us remember Lord Krishna. So it's a matter of fact. They may be incomplete, but they are perfect as far as improving our life is concerned. So based on these 2-3 points, my humble understanding is that, Prabhuji, that we should not minimize importance of any devotees or position of any devotees, even if they are imperfect. Is that all right, Mahesh Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhuji. So basically, Vaishnava aparad you're saying, I think is something which we should always, by all means, avoid.
Avoid, yes. And secondly, I always say that, to be honest, Prabhuji's, Mataji's, Krishna does not need scholars. Krishna does not need our material qualifications. Krishna needs a humble, simple-hearted devotee, even with demerits. All of you remember, Prabhuji's, Mataji's, that poem by Mahatma Prabhu that I had shared some time back in our Bhakti Vaibhav discussion?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yeah. So what was the crux, essence of that poem? Anyone? Anyone? Prabhuji's, Mataji's?
Shall I try, Prabhu?
Yeah, Murli Prabhuji.
Yeah, I remember that essence of the poem.
A bit louder, Murli Prabhu.
Yeah. Now is it clear?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yeah. The essence of the poem is that when
Its voice is very weak. Yeah, sorry,
Yeah.
Murli Prabhu.
now
Prabhuji, yes, please try once more.
the essence of the poem basically is that when he passed away and he was there at the higher plane, he realized that all those people who are at the various stages of bhakti were all together at that place. Yeah?
Yes.
So to me, the understanding is that whatever be the case, just do the bhakti. Yeah? That is the only thing essence I picked up there.
Thank you, Prabhu. And we saw how Krishna was very fondly interacting with all these devotees, apparently who were not perfect in our eyes. And this particular Prabhuji was surprised that how come they are there, and everyone else was surprised, hey, he has also reached here. That means Krishna is not averse to taking a person who has got other vestiges of anarthas in his or her heart, but he is very averse to take anyone who may be pakka in his material intelligence, in his so many other good qualities. But if that person is critical of devotees, Krishna is not very inclined to show his mercy to that particular personality. And we have so many graphic examples. In Chaitanya Charitamrita, we see the example of Lord Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Mahaprakash Leela, granting his mercy to each and every devotee. But when it came to Sachid Mata, his own mother, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was reluctant, saying she has been critical in her mind of Advaita Acharya. And Advaita Acharya, when he came to know that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is not granting his mercy to Mother Sachi Devi, he got very angry. He said, what does Chaitanya Mahaprabhu know? He should know that the source of his bhakti, the source of everyone's bhakti in this universe is Mother Sachi. And how can Mother Sachi, how can she be offender if she has had any upset, if she has had any angry thought in her mind just because of both of her sons taking sannyas because of association of Advaita Acharya. So Advaita Acharya is not considering himself worthy of causing an offense for Mother Sachi, but ultimately only in the Ratha Yatra when Advaita Acharya was dancing ecstatically and he fell unconscious while dancing ecstatically. Devotees took that opportunity to bring Mother Sachi and have her have her take the dust from the lotus feet of Advaita Acharya, and only then Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu just basically closed that open point. He closed that point against Sachi Devi. So we can understand Lord Krishna, of course, he wants to teach us an example through that, is not very happy with his mother when she is critical of other devotees, what to speak of any one of us. So we have to be very, very careful about this. Shall we proceed, Prabhuji's, Mataji's? Any other questions, points?
Another follow-up question, Prabhuji,
Yes.
on the same question. So maybe, Vaishnava Aparadh is, I think, one of the biggest thing, and thank you for bringing this example of even Shachi Mata also. So just wanted to confirm this 9.30, sometimes we hear, maybe we might accidentally do something, but continuation of the devotional service, I think Lord Krishna is saying, will actually help us overcome that, So
Reinstate,
is
yeah.
my understanding correct, Prabhuji, that maybe we continue to do the devotional service without offenses from that point onwards, then we can overcome that offense also, and obviously we can seek the forgiveness from that particular devotee in whatever way possible.
Right. So Prabhupada mentions in the purport of same particular set of verses 9, 30 and 31 that that particular mistake or error in judgment or offense should not have been planned if it is due to the earlier conditionings. And this is one criteria. And second criteria, as Prabhuji mentioned, is that devotee is continuing on the path of devotional service, is not giving up. Then Krishna will definitely make efforts to reinstate, but it should not be a planned one that we plan an offense and then expect Krishna to help. Hare
Thank you,
Krishna.
Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Who was maybe one question we take?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhu, my doubt is regarding that Prajalpa. So that we can actually that principles we can follow with the devotees. What about mostly we are in contact with the material people and all, no? So sometimes how can we communicate with them? So they are it's like they are also in asking something, and they are, how can we talk to them? Like, so mostly it's in material people, they're doing all these things, you know, all these prajalpas, means so many things they're talking, no? So how can we avoid that? Just
Even in movies also we find this type of
relation also, yes, but we can't have, it's very difficult, no, Prabhu?
So two things. Water is required for the prosecution of our devotional service. Okay, or I'll use a simple word for the practice of our devotional service. We do that, okay, as a practical means. And while doing that, there will certainly be some of the misgivings, some of the anarthas we would take with us in that association. But we should also regularly do the cleansing through proper attentive chanting, through regularly associating with Srimad Bhagavatam, associating with devotees on a daily basis to do that cleansing of the heart. I'll give you one example. Actually, in today's discussion also, there is going to be one verse spoken by Lord Krishna himself, where he says that one should not give up the worldly activities till one reaches stage XYZ. So we will wait for that verse. But what he specifically means is Krishna knows that as long as one is doing those activities in the outside world, there will be taking up of the anarthas on our side. It is not that he doesn't know. But for day-to-day leading of our life and practice of our Krishna consciousness, it is very important for us to earn our living, to interact with the social elements outside, etc. So we have to do it as part of living in this material world, but at the same time practice the process of cleansing, what Srila Prabhupada, what the acharyas have given on a day-to-day basis. Okay, as you mentioned, it is not possible to live in the world. It is like standing in a place where there is mud, but expect not a single drop would fall on our cloth. Definitely drops are going to fall and the clothes are going to get dirty. That's why we cleanse them regularly. Is that all right?
So the best, we have to more concentrate on the chanting when we are doing, and read the books and all. Stunodam Sokatam, that is the best.
Yeah.
So give more sincerely, we have to do that. Is it, that is
Correct.
the, and yeah.
To keep our spiritual intelligence stout and sturdy. So that
Prabhu, it's a very difficult, you know, so it's a mind. So when we are talking, within second, we are forgetting what is Krishna and what is everything. So because we are in that world, mainly to 10 to 11 hours with that people. So that is why Prabhu, it's a Hare Krishna.
That's why one last point, Srila Prabhupada has asked us to have a solid program both in the morning and before going to bed also Prabhupada has recommended. So he knows definitely that if we are left outside the association, then there is a chance. And nowadays, so many hours we do spend with the outside people. So we should have a very solid morning program and a proper program to do the cleansing to an extent, even in the evening before going to bed. So based on individual schedule of the devotees, you can implement how extensive that morning and evening program can be. But it is question of our spiritual life and death, that if we don't have that regular association, then after a while we will lose taste in chanting, we would lose taste in hearing. And if we don't chant, hear properly, Srila Prabhupada has warned, the same deities who I have, that means Srila Prabhupada says to his disciples, that same deities for whom deity worship Prabhupada has entrusted to the devotees, they would seem like a burden if we don't properly chant and hear. So Prabhupada warns the devotees. Shall we proceed, Prabhuji's, Mataji's? Hare Krishna. So, hang on. Yeah. Mahesh Prabhu, you want to recite text 13?
Yes, Prabhuji. खट्वांगो नाम राजर्षे
Katvango Nam
यात्वे यत्ताम इहायुष
Yusha
मुहूर्तात् सर्वम् उत्सृज्य
Muhurtat Sarvam
गतवान् अभयं हरिम्
Abhayam Hari.
Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Abhay Charanarvind Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation: The saintly king Khatwang, after being informed that the duration of his life would be only a moment more, at once freed himself from all material activities and took shelter of the supreme safety, the personality of Godhead. Should I continue the purport, Prabhuji?
Yes, bro. Highlighted part.
Purport: A fully responsible man should always be conscious of the prime duty of the present human form of life. The activities to meet the immediate necessities of material life are not everything. One should always be alert in his duty for attainment of the best situation in the next life. Human life is meant for preparing ourselves for that prime duty. Maharaj Khatwang is mentioned herein as a saintly king because even within the responsibility of the state management, he was not at all forgetful of the prime duty of life. Such was the case with other Rajarishis, saintly kings like Maharaj Yudhishthir and Maharaj Parikshit.
Thank you. Thank you, Prabhuji. So we see here a specific thing that is mentioned about Maharaj Khatwang or other great kings like Yudhishthir Maharaj, Parikshit Maharaj, etc. is that they were always alert to the prime duty of life. That means why their example is mentioned, because they were certainly much more busier than any one of us can imagine in being in our own life. But despite such a busy schedule and so many responsibilities, they were never ignorant, or they were always giving first priority to the prime duty in this particular life, which is to remember Krishna and perfect one's life. So here, I've given the example of Maharaj Khatwang, that when Srila Prabhupada mentions in the purport that when he was given an opportunity by the demigods to ask for anything, Maharaj Khatwang did not ask for material enjoyment which the devatas could have provided abundantly, because they had that facility at their disposal. So he writes in the purport, the demigods being fully satisfied with him wanted to give him some benediction. Him means Khatwanga Maharaj. Wanted to give him some benediction for material enjoyment. But Maharaj Khatwang, being very much alert to his prime duty, inquired from the demigods about his remaining duration of life. So even when he had a leverage at his disposal, Maharaj Khatwang did not use it for material enjoyment, but he wanted to always stay alert and know how much time I have, how can I prepare myself for the end. And when he actually came to know from the devatas that he has got only one muhurta, about 48 minutes left, immediately left the heavenly planets, came to the earth and started meditating on Lord Krishna and perfected his life in that short duration. Similarly, for the second example I have mentioned, Ajamel, usually Ajamel's story, the focus is kept on his degradation in the association of that prostitute and his throwing off his parents and driving away his chaste wife outside the home and begetting so many children from the womb of that lowly lady and spending major part of his life in sinful activities. But we sometimes, devotees, don't give sufficient importance to what Ajamel did after he got that chance, where he got saved by the Vishnudutas from being taken away by the Yamadutas. After he got that chance, he did not continue his sinful life. He immediately gave up his sinful life, went to Haridwar, stayed there in Vishnu temple for around close to 20 years, associated with devotees, practiced Krishna conscious life, corrected all his mistakes from the past, and prepared himself to go back home, back to Godhead. So it is equally important for the practicing devotees. Why I have given this example here? Once he came to know his mistake, he was very much alert to the prime duty of human life, and he did not let that pursuit go astray anytime. So that is very important lesson to be learned from Ajamil, that when he got a second chance, he did not let go of that particular chance. Similarly, when we come to know what is the prime necessity, what is the prime duty of our life, we should also not let go of that chance that we have got. Otherwise, not much use studying these examples if we still remain in our sinful life. And Prabhupada concludes this purport by saying, this attempt, even for a moment, by the saintly king was successful because he was always alert to his prime duty. So somebody might take these two cases in a wrong way by thinking that Ajamil, just one time he chanted the holy name of Narayan, he went back home, back to Godhead. This is wrong. The holy name of Narayan only saved Ajamil from gliding down to hellish planets. It gave him a second chance. But main part Ajamil played after that, that he utilized that second chance, what he got. So that is very important. Similarly, Khatwanga Maharaj, he only got benefited from the Devatas only to know how much time he was left with. But after that, it was his effort to utilize that one muhurta time for the right purpose. So this is not possible if we are not alert to prime duty in our day-to-day life. To utilize whatever opportunities we have, we can only do that if we are constantly alert to what is of importance in our life. Is there any thoughts or anything anyone wants to share or ask? If not, we proceed. Prabhuji's, Mataji's.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Yes.
You have
Prabhuji.
used Krishna's image in that slide, so just wanted to check, is it that Krishna himself is meditating
Oh,
early?
sorry. So I mistakenly put, actually, I searched for Maharaj Khatwanga meditating. So I just
Oh, okay.
noticed after you said, I will replace it.
Okay, Prabhuji, because my thought on this image was that I think in 10th canto, then Narad Muni, I think, saw
Krishna is
the
also meditating.
Krishna's daily affairs. So I think that time he chanting Gayatri. Is my understanding of this image, Prabhuji. I hope that understanding is correct.
Yeah, that is correct. I'll replace this. So basically, I
Okay.
want to show Maharaj Khatwanga meditating and perfecting his life. Hare Krishna. So we come to the
Another question, Prabhuji, related to the previous, this, when we say next life, that we should be working for the betterment in next life, so does it mean, because I think majority of the propaganda that we hear around is that live in the present moment, so live in the present moment. I'm not sure if that also means that don't worry too much about the next, what comes next, but focus on the present moment. So, but I think all the effort that we are doing maybe as part of the movement is that prepare for the next life. Why next life? Because our practice should be such that at the end of this life we should be able to remember Lord Hari, so that we get better next life. It could be a material life or it could be a spiritual life. It depends on, I think, many factors. But is that understanding correct? That because I think it is in contrast to what typically we hear around. That we should always be thinking about next life, not the present life.
Yeah, so I would just add one more point. One is live in present life means what is in our hand right now, utilize that to prepare for the final exam. And one more difficult part about this preparation is because we don't know for each one of us when that exam is going to be. Like many people, we got a jolt of our life with the recent incident of what happened in Ahmedabad, the plane crash. So it can happen to anyone at any point in time. So because we don't know when it is going to come for us, better we stay prepared. And what is within our hand is our present moment. We don't know when the last moment is going to be. Hare Krishna. So
Everyone is in jaws of serpent of death.
Yes, Prabhuji. So let us proceed to the next verse. Tarini Mataji, you want to recite?
Yes, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Tavapyetar hi kautavya saptaham jivitavatihi upakalpaya tatsarvam tavatyat samparayikam.
Thank you, Mataji. And translation?
Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhu, Prabhupada ki Jai. Maharaja Parikshit, now your duration of life is limited to 7 more days. So during this time, you can perform all those rituals which are needed for the best purpose of your next life.
Yes. So continuing with this particular theme, that Shukadev Goswami is encouraging his student not to be disheartened because of having a short span of life. He gave him first encouragement by saying one muhurta is also sufficient, gave example of Khatwanga Maharaj. Now he is saying that you have got saptaham, that means 7 days to live, and you have these 7 days to plan tavat yat sampara ikam. That means to plan whatever you need to do, whatever activities, whatever adjustments you need to do to prepare yourself for the next life. You have got time for it. Don't worry. Purport, Tarini Mataji.
Sukadeva Goswami, after setting the example of Maharaja Katwanga, who prepared himself for the next life within a very short time, encouraged Maharaja Parikshit by saying that since he still had 7 days at his disposal, he could easily take advantage of the time to prepare himself for the next life. Indirectly, the Goswami told Maharaja Parikshit that he should take shelter of the sound representation of the Lord for the 7 days, still remaining in the duration of his life, and thus get himself liberated. In other words, everyone can best prepare himself for the next life simply by hearing Srimad Bhagavatam as it was recited by Shukadeva Goswami to Parikshit, Maharaja Parikshit.
Read the last line also.
Yes, Prabhuji. The rituals are not formal, but there are also some favorable conditions which are required to be carried out as instructed hereafter.
Thank you, Mataji. So specifically these rituals, say for example, you might have seen in the videos, we have, what is that place called where those people who are about to die are kept? What is it called, Mahesh Prabhu? You know, in Vrindavan also we have. In Singapore, we have preaching for that, going on for that. Those people who are about to die are kept. I know the name, I forgot.
Hospice?
Hospice, yes. So we have in Vrindavan also, from devotees side, we have hospice, and in Singapore, few devotees do go to hospice to preach. That means to try and give Krishna to these people at the very fag end of their life, if they can get a better destination based on that. So there are certain rituals when a person is actually leaving his or her body, like say for example, getting Ganges water, putting it in the person's mouth, then putting tulsi that is offered to the Lord in the person's mouth, bringing him the deity's garland and offering that garland, or keeping the pictures of Radha, Krishna near the bedside, so that even if the person's most of the senses are not cooperating, whatever little bit of last sense is considered as hearing, then he should be able to hear devotees chanting or have all these holy paraphernalia that are offered to the Lord, and with that particular person at the time of his departures. So Srila Prabhupada is writing that these rituals are not just formalities, they definitely have their purpose for that particular practitioner. And Maharaj Parikshit, in his case, is having requisite time to make those adjustments, whatever he needs to do to practice the process as being taught by Shukadev Goswami, the glorification of the Lord, the process of hearing. So Maharaj Parikshit has sufficient time to adjust. Now, if we see the remaining part of chapter 2, Prabhuji's Mataji's, we will find that first time the description of universal form would be coming shortly, and apart from that, Ashtanga Yoga process is also discussed. So sometimes devotees may have questioned that we have discussed at the beginning of Srimad Bhagavatam, that Bhagavatam puts aside all the Kaitava Dharma, all the lower forms of religion, it rejects, and it is mainly focusing on pure devotional service. So if that is the case, what is the need for Shukadev Goswami to discuss all these other topics apart from Krishna Katha, like description of universal form, description of other lower forms of yoga practice, including Ashtanga Yoga and all, compared to Bhakti Yoga? What is the need for Bhagavatam or Shukadev Goswami to include these discussions as part of the overall Bhagavatam flow? So we would just try to touch upon this particular point. Why does Srimad Bhagavatam, like even for universal form, I had mentioned last time, it is an imaginary form, but not one time or two time. Within second canto itself, we find around 3 occurrences of different descriptions of universal form, and in canto 3 we would find 2 more descriptions of universal form. So why it is being described 4 times, 5 times? And also in canto 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and even part of canto 5, we do see the process of creation, sarga and visarga, primary and secondary creation being described. So we would try to go in depth before starting with this particular description by Shukadev Goswami. Why does Srimad Bhagavatam include these topics for discussion? So there are few reasons I have jotted down based on explanation by senior devotees why Srimad Bhagavatam talks about these topics apart from Krishna Katha. So first important point to understand is who are the target audience of Srimad Bhagavatam. So if I don't show you this slide, Prabhuji's, Mataji's, what would come to your mind? Who are the target audience typically? Who is Srimad Bhagavatam meant for? Anyone? Murli Prabhu?
Intelligent people.
Sorry, come again, Mataji.
Less intelligent people.
Less. Okay, so you might have read through some of the points from the slides, but no.
Devotees?
Yes. Which type of devotees, Murli Prabhu?
Paramahamsas.
Paramahamsa, right. That famous verse from 1:1-2. Let me just open it here. Oops. So in the second verse of Srimad Bhagavatam itself, Srila Vyasadeva mentions that it is meant for Paramo Nirmat Saranam Satam. That means the topmost types of transcendentalist, those who are completely free from all the envy within their heart. These personalities can properly relish Srimad Bhagavatam. Yes, that is true. They can properly relish Srimad Bhagavatam, but as Mataji mentioned in the beginning, Bhagavatam is not just meant for them. Okay, they are able to relish Srimad Bhagavatam, but it is also meant for those persons who are stuck in this material world and want to cross over this material world. So the struggling materialists are also the ones who are the target audience. And here I have given 3 different verses to give references how even the major speakers in Srimad Bhagavatam, including Srila Vyasadeva, who starts Srimad Bhagavatam with his obeisances and definition of the Lord, his son Shukadev Goswami, and subsequent conversations between Maitreya Maharshi to Vidura, how all these prominent speakers of Srimad Bhagavatam, they mentioned the fallen materialist as also one of the intended audience for Srimad Bhagavatam. So maybe I will ask few devotees to recite these verses. Okay. Gita Mataji, did you recite earlier?
No, Prabhuji.
No? Okay, you can recite one, and next one, Dhanya Dhameshwari Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Is Anarthopasham.
Yes, yes.
Anarthopasamam sakshat.
Recite, complete one.
Anarthopasamam sakshat Bhakti yogam adokshje lokasya jnanato vidvam chakre satvata samhitam.
Translation.
The material miseries of the living entity, which are superfluous to him, can be directly mitigated by the linking process of devotional service. But the mass of people do not know this, and therefore the learned Vyasadeva compiled this Vedic literature, which is in relation to the Supreme Truth. SB 1.7.6.
Thank you, Mataji. So Srila Vyasadev's target audience are mentioned as people, that mass of people who do not know the linking process of devotional service and who are stuck in the material miseries. So Srila Vyasadeva, taking compassion on such fallen souls, has given Srimad Bhagavatam. So definitely, while it is relished by the Nirmat Saranam Satam Paramahamsas, it is also catering to the needs of uplifting such fallen materialist. Dhanya Dhameshwari Mataji, second one.
यत्स्वानुभवम् अखिलाश्रुतिचारमेकम् आध्यात्मदीपम् अदितिश्रितां तमो अन्धम् संसारिणां करुणायाः पुराणाकुह्यम् तं व्यासा सुनुम् उपयामि गुरुं मुनीनाम्. Let me offer my respectful obeisances unto him, Sukha, the spiritual master of all sages, the son of Vyasadeva, who out of his great compassion for those gross materialists who struggle to cross over the darkest regions of the material existence, spoke this most confidential supplement to the cream of Vedic knowledge after having personally assimilated it by experience. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you, man. So here Suta Goswami is referring to the compassion of his spiritual master Shukadev Goswami for gross materialists who are struggling to cross over the darkest regions of material existence. He spoke this most confidential supplement after having understood, assimilated it personally. Then he has spoken this Srimad Bhagavatam for the upliftment of such gross materialists. And third one, Murli Prabhu, you want to just read the translation? Let me know. You are on mute.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yeah.
Yes. Can I?
Yes.
Let me now begin speaking on the Bhakti Purana, which was directly spoken to the great sages by the personality of Godhead for the benefit of those who are entangled in extreme miseries for the sake of very little pleasure.
Yes. So this is Maitreya Maharshi speaking to Vidura that look, Bhagavatam was originally spoken for those who are in extreme misery and they are accepting this extreme misery in exchange for achieving a very little material pleasure. So such people should also be benefited by these discussions about the pastimes of the Lord and his other devotees. This is the prayojan or purpose of Maitreya Maharshi speaking Srimad Bhagavatam. So through all these references of various speakers of Srimad Bhagavatam, we do see that while the subject matter is relishable for the pure devotees, it is very, very important for the upliftment of fallen materialists. Even if they are not able to relish it completely, it would help cleanse their heart of all the misgivings. So then next few verses we will find how this Srimad Bhagavatam is even more important for such gross materialists who are stuck in the life of material enjoyment than even for the Paramahamsas. Why? Because Paramahamsas have already reached that particular platform. So even if they don't have anything for relish, they would be able to remember the Supreme Lord. But for the materialist, like for the diseased person, the medicines are all the more important, or nutritious food is all the more important so that he or she can get out of the disease. For somebody who's healthy, they would anyway know what is good for them, so they can conduct their life. But for the diseased person, it is all the more important. Rohini Mataji, you want to recite the first verse?
Uh,
Syat Krishna Nama Charitadi.
yes, Prabhuji. Syat Krishna Nama Charitadi Sitape Avidya.
You can use the tune of Brahma Samhita, Mataji. Syat Krishna Nama Charitadi Sitapi Vidya. If you are comfortable.
Prabhuji, I'm not comfortable.
Sure. Okay, you can recite.
Sorry.
May I try, Prabhuji?
Okay, Lalita Vinodini Mataji.
Hare Krishna. स्यात् कृष्णनामचरितादिसितापविद्या पित्तोपतप्तरसनस्य नरोचिकानो किन्त्वादरादनुदिनं खलु सैव जुष्टा स्वाद्विक्रमाद्भवति तद् गतमूलहन्त्री. Should I continue or Mataji will continue?
Let Mataji read. That's fine. Thank you, Lalita.
The holy name, character, pastimes, and activities of Krishna are all transcendently sweet like sugar candy. Although the tongue of one afflicted by the jaundice of avidya, ignorance, cannot taste anything sweet, it is wonderful that simply by carefully chanting these sweet names every day, a natural relish awakens within his tongue, and his disease is gradually destroyed at the root.
Thank you.
Nectar of Instruction, Text 7 by Srila Rupa Goswami.
Thank you, Mataji. So here it is mentioned by Srila Rupa Goswami that sugar candy, it is relished by a healthy person, but it is not so relishable. In fact, it tastes bitter for somebody who has got jaundice. But the medicine for the person with jaundice is the same, so that he can daily on a regular basis taste sugar candy, and gradually he would also develop the taste for the sweetness of sugar candy. His jaundice will go away. So similarly, while the Paramahamsas are able to relish Srimad Bhagavatam, this Srimad Bhagavatam, although we may not have much taste, we may not have much inclination to relish it to that level, still if we regularly attend to Srimad Bhagavatam in terms of reading it, in terms of hearing from Srila Prabhupada, from the present Acharyas on it, then we would also develop this relishing of the taste for Srimad Bhagavatam. And this particular verse on the right hand side, we have all studied it previously. This is the second verse in Canto 1 of Srimad Bhagavatam. So here specifically Srila Vyasadeva mentions that as soon as one gives submissive hearing to this Srimad Bhagavatam, without much delay, Lord Krishna, he is established within his heart as a irrevocable truth, as an authority. So he mentions as soon as one attentively and submissively hears the message of Bhagavatam, by this culture of knowledge, the Supreme Lord is established within his heart. So Acharyas, they bifurcate two different classes of people. From this last line of this verse, they mention Krutibhi as well as Sushrubhi. For these two classes of people, Krutibhi are the persons who have already achieved that perfection in terms of relishing hearing about Lord Krishna. They have already achieved perfection in the process of hearing. And Sushrubhis are those people who are basically, they are still carrying the material desire. They are still carrying anarthas within their heart, but they are intending to develop this relish for hearing about Krishna. So for both these classes of people, for somebody who has already achieved that platform of relish in hearing about Krishna, Lord Krishna will immediately appear as soon as the person attends to Srimad Bhagavatam. But for somebody who has still got the vestiges of material desires, for him, Krishna will appear very soon if he practices hearing of Srimad Bhagavatam. So first reason why Srimad Bhagavatam contains topics like which are less than pure devotional service, including Ashtanga Yoga, including description of universal form at so many places, including the description of Vedic cosmology, material cosmos. The reason is because the target audience for Srimad Bhagavatam is also those personalities who need to be uplifted, who are not at the platform of pure devotional service. Any queries, Prabhujis, Matajis? Are we all on the same page? Hare Krishna. All right. So
Hare
the
Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Yes,
My
yes.
understanding was that it is primarily for people who are completely, into gross material platform. It is because Puranas are typically for people like, I think Mataji was mentioning, less intelligent, Dwij Bandhus, and a couple of other, three major categories. And I think because it is explained through stories, so that's why I think the Puranas are typical, and this is Mahapuran, so it is full of stories, but stories about the Supreme Lord, so that we get. But my understanding was that it is also relished by Paramhansas. It is also relished by Paramhansas. So that was one of the primary. My understanding so far was that primary audience is the people who are gross materialists, so that they can gradually, if they attentively and submissively hear, they can gradually get purified. But it is also for Paramahansas. But I think I'm not sure if that is correct.
Understanding is correct, Prabhuji.
Okay,
As we
okay.
saw from the various speakers, that they want to primarily uplift those materialistic people who are, what is the word used? Andham, tamo andham, who are in the deep darkness. So definitely out of compassion, but these people are not immediately able to relish to that level. The relish at proper level, like a healthy person, is only possible for Paramahamsas. Okay, but as we saw through the quotation of Rupa Goswami, that it is more important for the materialist, because Paramahamsas can remember Krishna even without this, by discussing about Krishna between themselves. But for a materialist, this is the only hope. Is that all right, Mahesh?
Yes, Prabhuji. Yes,
Hare
Prabhuji.
Krishna.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. So now we see the second reason, which is to give the requisite sukruti for people to come in the association of who have not yet come in the association of devotees and have developed that faith in devotional service by hearing about Krishna. Bhagavatam is giving that opportunity even for the fallen souls. All of you remember Prabhuji's Mataji's the example of Gokarna that we had discussed in the beginning when starting Srimad Bhagavatam. Gokarna, in which, not Gokarna, his fallen brother Dhundukari. Gokarna was a great soul, definitely. He did speak Srimad Bhagavatam. But his fallen brother Dhundukari, in whose body was he? Prabhuji's Mataji's? Which particular body was he in?
The ghost form?
Ghost form.
He was a ghost.
Yes. He had fallen into a ghostly body because of leading a very sinful life and subsequently being murdered by the 5 prostitutes that he had kept. So those type of personalities who have not yet had a chance to associate with devotees and get that faith in hearing about Supreme Lord in the process of pure devotional service, to give them a chance is also what Srimad Bhagavatam is meant for. So I would, Prema Priya Jayashri Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Yeah.
Hare Krishna.
May I read it?
Yes.
The second one, Prabhuji.
First one. If you want, you can directly read the translation, up to you.
Okay. Yeah. So, this is some different tone, Prabhuji, for this Brahma Samhita tone.
Yeah. So actually, to be honest, I know only the first line of this, and typically, but I just searched what are the subsequent lines. You can try, no worries.
I think Brahma Samhita is too.
Normal, you can. Sashata Shruyate Bhakto
Shruyate Bhaktau Ndramatasrasi Adhikarita Sarvadhikaritam Magha Shanasya Bruvata Yataha Drishtantita Vasishthaina Hari Bhaktir Nrampati. I think one line is 3 lines are there. Yeah.
Yeah, 3 lines.
Yeah, I think
translation.
It can be known from the scriptures that every human being is eligible for Hari Bhakti because in connection with bathing in the Ganga in the month of Magha, sage Vasishtha tells King Mayura Dhwaja that such bathing is a part of Hari Bhakti, which everyone is entitled to follow.
Yes, thank you.
Swami in NOD.
Thank you. So many verses in Nectar of Devotion, the Sanskrit verses we find few mentioned by Srila Prabhupada. For the rest of the verses, Prabhupada has directly given his commentary. So that's why some of the verses sound very unfamiliar. So in this particular verse, Srila Rupa Goswami mentions, just like to bathe in the Ganges, there is no specific qualification that is needed. Even an ordinary person can also bathe in the Ganges and purify himself. Similarly, Shastrata Shuyate Bhaktau Nrumat Strasi Adhikarita. Apart from being a human being, there is no much qualification that is needed even to take up to the process of devotional service. So on one hand, we do see the writings of our Acharya that as long as one is a human being, of course, there are examples of some of the lower species, animal species of life also benefiting from devotional service. The examples are exceptions. In general, we see that one who is in human form of life can appreciate the process of devotional service when explained and can start practicing it as a goal in life. However, we do also see Lord Krishna mentioning in the 11th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam that if somehow or other by good fortune one develops faith in hearing and chanting my glories, such a person, being neither disgusted with nor very much attached to material life, should achieve perfection through the path of loving devotion service to me. So Krishna is putting the criteria that while everyone is eligible to get into devotional service, person needs to have developed some kind of faith, and typically this faith comes when we either have any sukruti by rendering service to the devotees and get their association. Basically, Satam Krupa. We saw the example of Narada Muni, and we saw so many other examples. Even Ajamel's wife, she did receive Bhakti Vedantas for a brief period and inadvertently happened to serve them, because of which the Bhakti Vedantas blessed her, basically asked her to name the unborn child within her womb as Narayan, which subsequently benefited Ajamel as well as his whole family. So coming back to this, Krishna says that a person needs to have developed some kind of faith to take to the process of devotional service. So this particular Bhagavatam provides that particular opportunity for such fallen souls to come in the association of devotees, hear Krishna Katha and develop that faith, what is needed to practice the process of bhakti, as we saw through the example of Dhunkari benefiting from the discussion on Srimad Bhagavatam by his brother Gokarna in the association of devotees, to such an extent that Dhunkari was the first one to go back home, back to Godhead, before the audience or the speaker himself, Gokarna himself. So this is the second reason to attract such fallen souls to come take the association of devotees, build their faith and take to the process of devotional service. And the third verse is just the next verse to second one in the same sequence, where Lord Krishna mentions that as long as one does not develop that type of relish, that type of test in the process of hearing and chanting about himself, till that particular time, one should continue to perform his day-to-day duties as per the Vedic injunction. That means even if those duties bring certain vestiges of anarthas within our heart. So this is in reference to Divya Rukmini Mataji, the point that you had mentioned in the beginning, that our day-to-day activities can bring contamination by the association of outside people too. But Lord Krishna knows that, and that's why he's saying that we cannot give up our day-to-day activities till the time that proper test in hearing, chanting about Lord Krishna is developed. Till that time, we must perform those duties as a matter of fact that is required for each and every person. Is that all right, Prabhuji's, Mataji's? Is it too confusing? Hare Krishna.
No, Prabhuji.
Yes, it is absolutely fine, Prabhuji.
So at least try to remember the English. Don't confuse yourself with the verses by these next upcoming cantos or from the acharyas, because these verses, to be honest, even I don't know these verses by heart, but I know the reference what we are trying to conclude. So try to understand the plain English part at least. Hare Krishna. Prema Prakash Prabhu, you wanted to share something?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhuji.
The Puranas, etc. came, so I just wanted to, with your permission,
Yes.
say one sentence which is very popular. Vedas teach you like a student and a teacher. Puranas teach you like a friend.
and Srimad Bhagavatam teaches you like a lover.
Thank you, Prabhuji. And I have also heard this particular point, last statement, what Prabhuji just mentioned, that Srimad Bhagavatam is like a love letter by Lord Krishna to all the devotees, all of us. So we should definitely try to take benefit of that, where Krishna is trying to bring us all to him by giving examples of so many wonderful souls from all strata of life. So we have somebody with material aspirations like Dhruva Maharaj. We have somebody who is totally fallen in karma kanda activities like Prachina Barihi. We have somebody who is totally fallen in all sinful activities like Ajamel and so on and so forth. So two reasons we saw, and the third reason why Srimad Bhagavatam contains all these descriptions of topics below pure devotional service is what Mahesh Prabhu had mentioned, that all the Puranas, all the 18 Puranas specifically, they are meant, the Mahapuranas specifically, they are meant to cover the 10 principal topics which we had discussed at the beginning of Canto 2, which are Atra, Sarga, Visarga, etc. The primary creation, secondary creation, and then planetary systems, protection by the Lord, so on and so forth. So Srimad Bhagavatam is the only one out of those 18 Puranas which is covering all those topics with the sole intention of putting focus on the transcendental activities, pastimes of Lord Krishna. Like Prabhupada also quotes this many times. All the cantos from Canto 1 to Canto 9 are ultimately meant to bring the reader to the platform of appreciating Krishna's position so that we can understand 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. And the verse in the second box, it also highlights that Dashamasya Vishuddhyartham Navanam Iha Lakshanam. In brief, it means that all the 9 cantos of Srimad Bhagavatam are only meant to increase our appreciation for the 10th canto. And in regard to this, I have shown the photo, beautiful photo of the deities, Shri Radha Govinda ji. So in the photo, as soon as we see this photo, what catches our eye is the beauty of the Lordship Shri Radha Govinda ji. But if we minutely see, we also find that there are many focus lights which are not visible in the photo frame, which are there, which are enhancing that beauty. If the altar would have been dark, there is no less of a beauty of Shri Radha Govinda. They would still be equally beautiful, but we won't be able to appreciate that beauty if that focus, if those lights are not there. Similarly, all these 9 cantos of Srimad Bhagavatam, these are like to enhance our appreciation and understanding of Lord Krishna's pastimes in the 10th canto. Is this point clear, Prabhuji's, Mataji's? Hare Krishna.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Prabhuji.
Yes. Hare. So the same is mentioned in the last verse on the right. Lord Hari, the supreme controller of all beings, annihilates the accumulated sins of Kali age. Yet other literatures do not constantly glorify him, but the Supreme Personality of Godhead, appearing in his innumerable personal expansions, is abundantly and constantly is described throughout the various narrations of this Srimad Bhagavatam. So that means no other Puran, all the 17 other Puranas, they don't glorify Lord Krishna through all these other 9 principles of Yatra, Sarga, Visarga, Ityadi, all others. They don't glorify Lord Krishna through all of them. Only Srimad Bhagavatam. It has focus completely on Lord Krishna himself. So whenever we are discussing primary or secondary creation, it is Lord Krishna to be glorified. Are we all together, Prabhuji's, Mataji's? Anyone has any doubt on this? Hare Krishna.
No, Prabhuji, it's all right. So, compared, just one clarification.
Yes.
Compared to all the Puranas, that's why Srimad Bhagavatam stands out as the one which glorifies the Lord. Yeah? Whereas those are more factual, this is more, not only factual, but it also glorifies them.
Yeah, it glorifies the Lord across all the sections.
Yes.
Across the sections. Yes, Prabhuji. So we go to the fourth reason. Now, this is very important. Fourth and fifth reason are more or less similar. Discussion on these other topics like the process of primary, secondary creation, or the universal form, or Vedic cosmology, it is also purifying. Why it is purifying? Because these discussions are in relation to Lord Krishna. And when the conditioned soul regularly discusses these topics, because they are in relation to the Supreme Lord, these are activities of the Supreme Lord in relation to his material energy, the process of creation, etc. Then he would not be such a person who hears and reads about these activities. He would not be bewildered by Maya. And this is also mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2. Let me ask someone to read. Anyone would like to read? Those who have not read earlier, Prabhuji's, Mataji's. Hare Krishna. Ananta Ajiteshwar Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Read the translation. Thank you.
Should I read this, Prabhuji? When the conditioned soul regularly discusses, or the down with the Lord activities?
The Lord's activities. Yeah.
Okay. The Lord's activities in association with his different energies should be described, appreciated, and heard in accordance with the teachings of the Supreme Lord. If this is done regularly with devotion and respect, one is sure to get out of the illusionary energy of the Lord. Srimad Bhagavatam 2.7.53.
Thank you. Thank you. So we'll go to the purport also. Purport is very important for this. 2.7. Yeah, you can read the highlighted part, Prabhuji.
Okay. The science of learning a subject matter seriously in different form, I'll read again. The science of learning a subject matter seriously is different from the sentiments of fanatics. Fanatics or fools may consider the Lord's activities in relation with the external energy to be useless for them, and they may falsely claim to be higher participants in the internal energy of the Lord. But factually, the Lord's activities in relation with the external energy and the internal energy are equally good. On the other hand, those who are not completely free from the clutches of the Lord's external energy should devoutly hear regularly about the activities of the Lord in relation with the external energy. They should not foolishly jump up to the activities of the Lord's internal energy, falsely attracted by such activities as is Rasalila. The cheap reciters of the Bhagavatam are very much enthusiastic about the activities of the Lord's internal potency, and the pseudo devotees absorbed in material sense enjoyment falsely jump to the stage of liberated souls and thus fall down deeply into the clutches of external energy. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Thank you, Prabhuji. So you can read the remaining of the purport later at your leisure. But Srila Prabhupada clearly writes, and not only Srila Prabhupada clearly writes, Shukadev Goswami clearly mentions that if, first of all, the materialists, those who have not yet reached the platform of pure devotional service and appreciation for the internal energy of the Lord, it is very important for us to first start appreciating Lord's interactions with the external energy. And Prabhupada is time and again writing, one should devoutly hear about Lord's interactions with his external energy, Maya potency, on a regular basis. Only then we would develop appreciation for the Lord to start appreciating his interactions with the internal energy. And in the verse, it is mentioned, the benefit, Falashruti, is given that those personalities who regularly indulge in hearing interactions of the Lord with his external energy, they would surely get out of the illusory energy. They would surely get out of the influence of the external energy of the Lord. So this is the benefit why these topics of creation, universal form, Vedic cosmology, they are also equally purifying and important as well. So I think this is the same continuation. The discussions on these topics is a prerequisite to understand the activities of the Supreme Lord. So first point was mentioned, they are equally purifying. Second point is mentioned, they are a prerequisite for us to appreciate Lord's interactions with the internal energy. So with this, Prabhuji's, Mataji's, we would conclude our discussion, and then in the next session, we would cover everything, the descriptions of Ashtanga Yoga as given by Shukadev Goswami in this particular context. So I didn't want to start with that without properly going through why that section is coming. So anyone has any questions, comments, Prabhuji's, Mataji's, Hare Krishna? Is it very technical, the second part, what we saw, or is it okay?
I would like to thank you, Prabhuji, actually,
Hare.
because normally we could have jumped to the Ashtanga Yoga straight away, but without understanding the context. So thank you so much for giving this context and the 5 reasons specifically.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. Even I have this question every time, why we are talking repeatedly cosmology and all. No? Thank you so much.
Even for me, to be honest and candid in front of you, that I used to read these sections thinking that, okay, these are part of Srimad Bhagavatam, so they are purifying. So which is theoretical understanding, which is still good, beneficial. But now, after going deep dive into these reasons, I found the verses and Srila Prabhupada purport saying regularly going through this is also purifying to bring us out of Maya. So it is definitely important. And that's why we see, if you refer to Srila Prabhupada's lectures, 80, 90, 95% of the classes you will find related to this particular section of Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the basics of Krishna consciousness. And sometimes people have these doubts that why Swamiji, Srila Prabhupada is not going to the higher realms of discussion. Like 10th canto is written by him only. Till 13th chapter, which is the Brahma Vimohan Leela in the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, Srila Prabhupada has anyway given the commentary. Why Srila Prabhupada is not directly going to Krishna Leela? Or what to speak of 13th chapter, even before in his writings, Srila Prabhupada does quote from 11th canto, from 12th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, which he could not reach because of his age limitations. He was on the earthly planet only till the time he could finish halfway through 10th canto. Not even halfway through. So Srila Prabhupada was definitely aware of all the esoteric pastimes of Lord Krishna, but more than that, he was also aware what is needed for our purification. So he made sure that he gave what was required for our purification, and rest of the esoteric pastimes and everything are anyway covered in rest of Srimad Bhagavatam, even second part of Nectar of Devotion, chapter 19th onwards. Although it is not part of Bhakti Shastri, we can read it and try to understand. But these are very esoteric topics for sure.
Prabhu, mystic yoga includes only Ashtanga yoga or anything more than mystic yoga?
Mystic yoga, if we refer to the 6th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, it refers to the Ashtanga, as the name suggests, various 8 levels of practice, and then it also refers to what are the perfections of mystic yoga system. So it typically Ashtanga yoga is the way to get those mystic perfections.
So beyond Ashtanga yoga, what else does the mystic yoga include?
No. Ashtanga Samadhi is the last perfection of Ashtanga yoga that is mentioned in Bhagavad Gita. So all the yogas, for that matter, Ashtanga yoga, Sankhya yoga, Karma yoga, Jnana yoga, ultimately they do conclude in Krishna only. Okay, and 6th chapter itself also confirms this, that Samadhi is the highest level, and amongst all those perfected yogis, Krishna mentions devotees are the best.
My question was, Prabhuji, so mystic yoga is a synonym to Ashtanga yoga?
Yes. So basically, mystic yoga is the what a yogi is going to achieve. Ashtanga yoga is what the process he is going to practice. So as the name suggests, there are 8 specific limbs of that practice which are given in Bhagavad Gita. Is that all right, Prema Priya Mataji?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So thank you, Prabhuji's, Mataji's. if there is no other question, then we would stop here. And for the exams, those devotees who are still to complete, they can continue. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. I think
Hare
recording
Krishna.
is
Yeah, I'm